second, but
Blasphemy! It's Blasphemy and Brews! Wait, that's Superman, not Star Wars. Cat, go back.
uh,
Take back
uh,
the
uh,
live.
uh, all right, everyone. So that concludes this episode of Blasphemy and Brews.
You saw nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Restart.
It's still John Williams. It's close enough.
Yeah. Just start singing Jurassic Park. Why not? Who the hell cares?
We talk about our past and religious trauma. We know. I got.
Well,
We
that
try
was
not to get too down.
that was way better than it should have been, considering there was no prep for that. So good job.
Well, thank you.
So, what are we talking about today, Steve?
Where the fuck have we been for the past 2 weeks?
I fucked my foot up. Well, I was tired 1 week, and the next week I fucked my foot up. So we just didn't, because I'm an asshole with a hurdy foot. That's essentially. So everyone blame me. Hashtag blame cat.
Hashtag blame brittle bones.
Yes, the Steve Show featuring some homeless lady. Thanks. Hello, Kevin. I'm sorry, the sketchy marmoset radio show.
No, but the conversation we're having this week, I'm trying to think of the best way to do an elevator pitch of this. As you guys may know from the very first episode we did, 40K is kind of my on again, off again, uh, geeky love. Right now, I'm very against it, more against Games Workshop. Anywho, there is a short story from it's set in that universe called The Last Church that somebody made a wonderful animatic out of using the audiobook. I sent it Kat's way to see what she thought. She also enjoyed it. And there's various, world building aspects to it. But what it boils down to is essentially the good old debate of, is it better to have faith and religion and, have all the crap that goes with it, but some of the good as well? Or is it better to toss all that aside, but open the floodgates to disaster from
Yeah.
the void that leaves? Because if you're at all familiar with 40K, you know that what the Emperor planned and what ended up happening, very different things.
Well, it's also very This is something I thought of after I was texting you while I was at work. It's similar in some ways to Voltaire's story of a good Brahmin,
I
where
can't
the
say
whole
I've.
point. Oh, the whole point of the story is it's like a 3-page little short story.
Okay.
But the whole point is like, well, would you rather know everything and be miserable and try futilely to fix it, or know nothing really, just be dumb and having faith and happy?
That's another good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think, let me pull up what I said to you, because I phrased it fairly well, I thought, a few hours ago. Okay, so it's a literal Nietzsche's wet dream Ubermensch
Mhm.
that is so atheist he makes the Satanic Temple look devout, trying to show a genuinely good man that his faith is a fiction and those that hold to it are holding humanity back. I feel like that's an adequate description for the Emperor.
Yeah. I mean, the so the interesting. Uh, all right, I don't know. Do we wanna give backstory for the people who don't understand 40K first, or do we want to talk
Yeah,
about the
I think we
conversation
can just
first?
do a quick 2-minute summary.
All
Um,
right.
staying So 40K, the short and sweet is everything sucks. Grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and the laughter of thirsting gods, yada yada yada. The god emperor of mankind sits on his golden throne. He is the carrion king of the Imperium. He's fed 1,000 psyker souls a day to stay alive, and he's effectively a, you know, FTL lighthouse for all of
Yes.
mankind. Um, that's the current state of the world. Well, galaxy.
Well,
Rewind the
yeah.
clock a bit over 10,000
Well,
years. Um, the Emperor of Mankind is wrapping up conquering Terra, Earth,
also, he's
with
like
his.
38,000 years old at this point.
Yeah, he's like 38,000 years at this point. 40K shamelessly steals a lot of stuff from a lot of other successful IPs.
Yeah, and
So
it's great.
he is uniting Earth essentially with his imperial truth. That's what he calls it. The rejection of all superstition and religion to embrace science and technology and reason. Because up until he started doing this, like there was a whole nuclear holocaust. Uh, the galaxy spanning empire mankind once had, imploded due to, technological dark age, yada yada. So he's been doing this for a few centuries, using armies of engineered super soldiers. Nobody can stop him. There is now a single church left on the entire planet, and he has decided to
Well,
visit it himself to
these are
see.
Thunder Warriors at this point still.
Yeah, they aren't the Space Marine models that you can buy for
Yeah,
stupid amounts of money from Games Workshop.
yeah.
These are the
These were
beta
like,
Space Marines.
okay, these guys weren't like gene seeded, right? These were just like, they were like Wrath of Khan, like Khan from Star Trek, genetically engineered,
Yeah, good
not
comparison.
gene seeded. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. But like, a lot of people were Wrath of Khan,
Yeah,
well, pre Wrath of Khan, the eugenics wars in Star Trek, genetically. But the point is, these were like giant, fucking massive. Like, they were like, specifically, he picked giant absolute units of dudes who were like regular Marines, crayon eating, beefy alcoholics. I just, I don't know. I just wanted to say they were big boys, not space Marines. They were
yeah.
dumb.
But yes, so at this point, he is literally, months at most away from conquering the entire planet. And
Yeah.
this is the last remaining church in the world. So he decides to visit it incognito. Uh, he's only able to do that because he's a stupid, powerful psyker, which is 40K speak for magician. Um, and
Yeah.
speak with the priest that is taking care of it about why this priest is still there, and try and convince him, like I said before, hey, this faith is holding not only you, but all of mankind back, just religion as a whole. You know, embrace the imperial truth. Follow me. And of course, the priest has been, a practicing priest for almost half a century. So he's not exactly going to just say, you raise an excellent point. Bye bye, church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if my internet didn't suck, what I would do is the one thing I swore I would never do. And Kat and I could do a live reaction. Not really a reaction so much as I've seen it twice, Kat's seen it twice.
Yeah.
But active commentary,
Yeah.
pausing at
I would
points.
do it if I had a computer. I would do it. It's just, I'm on my phone. So,
Well, I think what we can do is, kind of go point by point,
yep,
skipping most of the lore stuff, I suppose.
yeah, the lore stuff. I mean, a little bit of the lore stuff is relevant. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yes.
I, I do think it's important to understand. So, the Emperor, what he is so 8,000 BC, right? There's a bunch of it's 8,000 BC, right?
I feel like you can just say
Roughly.
he's an Ubermensch. He is a
Well,
literal, like,
yeah,
15-foot tall, the pinnacle of human potential
well,
Ubermensch.
yeah, but how was he born again? Oh yeah, all of there was a bunch of shamans who got kicks out of reincarnating. It was those dudes started getting sucked up by the chaos gods when they reincarnated. So they all got together, got high as shit, and killed themselves. And that's how the Emperor was born.
Do we need to do that episode of The Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device before we go into this?
I don't know, man. Like I just think that's important to say because it's like that's literally what happened. Like,
Allegedly. That is one popular theory
okay,
that is not confirmed. If the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, as much as I love it, is not canon. That's just a very popular theory to the Emperor's origins.
well, yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, how else was he born? There were no psychers when he was born because they all died. They all. I don't know. The point is, he's.
Hey, Kat, it sounds like you're walking further and further away from your phone.
I'm sorry. How about now?
Much better.
Yeah. So the point is, the Emperor, 8,000 BC, he just shows up and he's just like, oh, I am super powerful. Much like some other potential people who we see as gods are today, you know, may have been, trying to influence the world and all that shit. You know, I'm just saying. But very powerful, can just kind of uh see the future. Well, he could see a lot of potential futures, right? That's his psychic power.
I mean,
Well, one of
it's
his.
just established that he is the most powerful human psyker, and if not the most powerful psyker in the galaxy that is a living being, one of the.
Well, he's a lot more powerful when he's alive versus when he's dead, obviously. Um, but he does get. All right, so the Emperor, after he's dead, because he dies kind of, he
He's
winds up getting.
mostly dead, and the Miracle Max that sits him on a golden throne, which is a
Yeah,
life-sustaining device, but he's literally rotting slowly.
yeah. The thing is, though, they see him as God now.
Yeah, yes. 10,000 years passed since he
Yeah,
mostly died,
yep,
and shortly afterwards, and shortly being a few centuries, the imperial cult is started, which effectively deifies him, which is the one thing he never wanted.
yes. And
Uh, is
well,
there is there any other lore that you think?
well, I think that's about it because it's just the Emperor. I just wanted to explain the
Yeah,
Emperor's. He's not just a dude. He's like,
no, he's effectively Paul Muad'Dib
yeah,
on steroids.
or Paul Bunyan mixed with Paul Muad'Dib. Boom.
All hail the Paul.
Yes. double Paul power. But yes, so all right. Basically, the story starts out as Steve said. The Emperor wants to. It's the last church on the fucking planet. So he goes in and just fucking talk to this guy, and um, what the fuck is that rock called? Um,
Oh, I
the
you,
Fulgrimite. Fulgrimite? Yeah, Fulgrim. It's
uh
Fulgrim's rock now. Um,
that is not even remotely right, and you know that.
uh, yeah, I know, but I can
I
confuse someone who knows
I,
nothing
I
about
was gonna say,
40k.
like, the name of the guy's faith isn't important.
No, it's not.
Um, but if we're, geez, the hat does not want to stay on right. The first thing that the priest shows the emperor is this piece of artwork that was commissioned thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
uh, before the world was bombed to hell. Effectively
Oh yeah.
a
Lots of
not
ways.
yeah, effectively the not Sistine's chapel, and comments like truly a divinely inspired work, and the emperor
Yep.
responds, you know, why would you diminish the artist's talent by saying that? It's a beautiful piece of art, no doubt about that. And I will never debate that the artist was talented, but divine? No. Uh, and then pretty much just goes on
Yeah.
to explain, like, you know, talented or not, and, he's not debating that artist's talent. Like any artist, she needed to eat, she needed to pay to live. And the
Mhm.
church had copious amounts of money to pay for a commissioned
Yeah.
work. And any artist worth their salt will put everything they have into a commissioned piece of work.
Yeah. And
And what was the quote? Yeah. Uh Uriel says, well, you cannot disprove that it was inspired by the divine. And the
yeah.
emperor replies with, the human mind is a beautifully complex instrument capable of feats beyond anyone else's imagination aside from the creator, or something akin to that.
Yeah. And then
Which is,
he follows. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Cat, your mic keeps falling away.
I'm sorry. Yes. Well, I have to hold it in my hand, and I keep on forgetting I need to hold it near my face. Um.
This is what happens when we don't stream for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I know. I haven't been on streams in a hot minute, but um. So basically, he immediately follows that up with, and we can't ever know if it was divinely inspired because we're not that person. Like
Yeah,
that
they've been dead
person's
for
long dead.
thousands of years.
Yeah, we couldn't possibly know. You're just believing a tale, essentially. That's the immediate next point. Like we can't know. The only thing we can know is that that artist was fucking talented.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if, yeah, and the Emperor says, even if I don't share your faith, I can appreciate that the artwork and its beauty.
Yeah.
Um, then I believe the next point was MacGuffin Rock, we can call it, but
Yeah.
essentially the holy relic slash holy
The Luke
pool.
Skyrocker.
Yes, essentially, the priest shares the story and the location that the church was founded, because this church was built literally on the spot of the religion's founding. Essentially, a holy man was wandering the area, and he was blind, and a storm erupted, and he was fumbling around.
Yeah.
He was trying to find shelter, And then suddenly, a bolt of lightning. Spooky's here for the random rant tangents. They're coming.
Well, okay. No, what happened was it started storming, and he was
Yeah.
trying to rush down to the village below because they're kind of like on a mountain-ish, right?
Yeah.
And he's trying to rush down and couldn't get shelter, and then lightning hits this
Yes.
rock.
Yes, the lightning hit an exposed rock, and he also saw the face of God. To which the Emperor responds, "Wait, wasn't the holy man blind?" "Ah, but he was blind no more."
Yeah, that killed me. That fucking killed me. Because I was just like, how many times have I heard that? Fucking charismatic Christianity. But he was crippled no more, and then he walked. Right? I was dying at work, and everyone just
Yes,
because cackling like a Shakespeare.
yes, and so then the priest finishes the story explaining that, the priest with his now cured blindness and witnessing a divine revelation, finished his journey down to the village, explained what happened. They built the church, the very church that they're now having this conversation in, and the religion was founded. Then, also a spring erupted from where the lightning strike happened, and apparently it had healing powers.
So, I don't know if we said this.
Hey, Cat, Mike.
I'm sorry. When the lightning struck the rock, the blind guy, saw the face of God. And that's where the Emperor goes, I thought he was blind.
Yes,
He saw
yes.
the actual physical face of God. He saw
And the
God with his own two blind eyes.
Yep. And the Emperor counters this with, there's a phrase for it, I believe, in the psychology field, but essentially, how people are able to pick out human-like features and stuff that there's no human-like features there. That's a purely coincidental pattern.
Oh God! Oh God! I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that is. I know what that is.
I'm sure everybody watching knows what the phrase is as well, and I'm just making an ass of myself.
Spooky, spooky, spooky! Help me out. Tag in.
But the Emperor says, the human mind is a funny thing. It can pick out patterns and see faces where there are none. No patterns or faces. And so you take a holy man who is scared, cold, probably fearful for their life, who already has a predisposition towards believing in the supernatural. It's quite believable he saw a face. And then in regards to the cured blindness, the Emperor does weird psycher Jane Doe Gary Stu stuff, puts his hand on it. It's like, hematite probably exploded in a landslide during the storm, which explains the lightning strike. And, I've heard tales of extreme duress and essentially saying it was a psychosomatic blindness, no medical issue, it purely mental.
Which
and
makes more sense.
being in such close proximity to a lightning strike and the priest believing he witnessed a divine intervention would be enough to break the psychosomatic symptom of the blindness, which I don't know how scientifically plausible something like that is. But he counteracts the quote-unquote miracle with, it doesn't happen often, but there is a, previously established medical instances of similar stuff happening in similar circumstances.
Basically, the Emperor is just like, hey, this actually happened. What I'm saying, my version of events actually did happen. open at least once. Yours, we cannot confirm that is actually, we can't confirm it's a fucking god, right?
Yes.
Like, the Emperor's like, look, I know of at least one time where this weird niche case happened of someone having psychosomatic blindness. You know, and then what's his face? Uriel, right?
Yes, Uriel is the priest.
Uriah. It's
Oh,
Uriah.
yes, that's right. Uriah.
And he's just like, oh, what the fuck is the words he uses? I don't remember.
Hey, Kat.
Yeah.
I think you need to pick a spot where you want your mic.
I haven't moved it this time, so
Okay.
my headphones get fucky, and that changes how my mic. That long story. Uriah. His reaction. Oh fuck. Hold on, I need to reset for a second.
Okay.
Okay, I just completely drew a blank.
Okay. Yes, so Uriah, pretty much takes it rather personally that he's attacking the very founding of his faith. And pretty much says, like, fine, let us cross, swords with our wit and intelligence and words and raise points and counterpoints.
Oh,
and
yeah,
yeah,
Emperor's just like, hey man, it doesn't come from malice or nothing. Like,
right, yes, and yeah, and Uriah, says, like, why are you attacking my faith in this way? And the Emperor explains, like, no, I'm not. I hold no ill will towards you. I want to understand you. Any malice you may sense is a, malice at, you know, illogical things holding back humanity. Not directed at you, and I apologize if it comes off that way. But he
yeah,
does also ask, like, why should your faith be exempt from scrutiny and, contradictions or flaws being pointed out? You know, is your faith somehow exempt from this scrutiny compared to anything else?
yeah.
And I forget what Uriah's response is to that.
He goes on about how the religion has helped him and all of the members of the town below and whatnot. And this is where he starts talking about his younger days and his, fight against the Thunder Warriors. Well, he doesn't start out with the Thunder Warriors. He starts out with the Franks, and then them all fighting the Thunder Warriors, and then, well, he starts off with the Franks, and then they go in with more of the similar philosophical stuff, and then they get back around to, because then they start drinking war wine or more old alcohol. I don't know if the second stuff was wine, because they're sitting in the church, like hanging out and drinking or whatever, right?
Yeah. Like, the conversation certainly gets heated at times, but Uriah is legitimately a good dude. He welcomes this stranger into his church with open arms, non-creepy, open arms. Like, come in out of the cold,
Yeah,
please,
okay.
welcome.
Not Catholic open arms. like
Yeah. Come in, get out of the cold. Come on in, man.
Right.
Welcome to the church. I'm Uriah. Yeah, and the Emperor's very first thing is that he says is, yes, your flock is not coming tonight. It's just you and I. Well, that's an odd thing to say upon meeting a priest.
Well, let's open up the wine. It's getting weird.
Yeah, that's an odd thing to tell me.
Look,
I'll still assume they'll show up, but tell me a little bit about yourself. How you doing?
yeah,
Take a seat, rest your bones.
I mean,
And
Uriah knew what was up. He didn't know the entirety of what was up, but he knew, it was going to be one of the Emperor's men coming down
at some
to,
point,
yeah. And I think he knew that pretty early on, that it was probably, I think early on he was like, this is probably one of the Imperial goons, right? And
most likely, yeah.
yeah, because he brings it up, what, about 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
But the point is, they're having a very, how do I describe it?
Civil, friendly.
Yes, civil and friendly, yet like a bit terse. You know what I mean?
Heated at times because,
Yeah,
even if it is stuff you should talk about, assuming that both parties can be civil,
yeah.
you know, i- there's a reason why in conservative families it's
Paragolia!
I mean, maybe it was just you and I, Cat, but was there a rule? Family doesn't talk about religion or politics unless you all want an echo chamber of sharing the same views and beliefs, because
Uh,
otherwise,
um, uh, no, but that's because my family is mixed religion. And, well, both of my parents' families are mixed religion. So,
uh
yeah,
yeah, my parents, my family was not like that. It's like family doesn't talk about religion or politics
yeah,
unless it's the kind of stuff they want to talk about.
yeah. My family was pretty chill about it for the most part. Just like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to grandma. She's Jehovah's Witness right now. And then she stopped being Jehovah's Witness and stopped giving a shit. You know,
Yeah.
shit like that. But for the most part, it wasn't. You can say whatever the fuck you want with my family. Your family, I know,
Yeah.
is.
But anywho, so as the night goes on in this story, uh the emperor asks Uriel, like, uh something Uriel
Uriah.
says sticks. Yeah, something Uriah says. Sorry, there's a character in novels written by Graham McNeil, one
Yep.
of the handful of good 40K authors, named Uriel
Mm-hmm.
Ventress.
Yeah.
So I keep calling Uriah Uriel. But
I did it
so
first, so.
but the emperor asked Uriah, why are you so adamant about this? When I'm pointing out all these flaws in the logic. And Uriah says, I have seen the divine myself with my own eyes. And of course, that immediately gets the emperor's attention, like, oh, really? That's quite a
Yep.
claim. It is there a story behind it that you're willing to share? And Uriah says he can. Is he ready? He doesn't know. Maybe a few more cups of wine, but he's willing to share if the emperor will listen. So they break open a bottle of the good stuff, and to keep it short and sweet, when Uriah was a much younger man, he was a scallywag and a scoundrel. And, you
Well,
know, it was relatively early in the Emperor's conquest of the world. Like, pretty much everybody knew he existed at that point, and he was in the process of conquering various areas.
he wasn't
But
he wasn't
Uriah, as a
conquering
young man,
people.
wanted to see parts of the world before the Emperor took over everything. So he explored and drank and hoarded his way across, you know, pretty much the entire Eurasian and African supercontinent. And eventually he ended up in the area that is northern France. Pretty much
Um,
right as there was what's that?
I do want to say it's not the
Mhm.
Eurasian continent. It's the North African continent, because at this point in time, the Nordic areas are like around and like in a C shape around like Western Europe, connecting to Africa.
Oh, right. World map got completely fucked up because oceans got evaporated
Yeah,
and
yeah.
right. Yeah, 40K is weird. Earth has no natural resources.
No, well, it does dust count as a natural? Just do corpses? Are corpses a natural resource?
Yes.
Well, I mean, in 40K, yes.
Anywho, so Uriah finds himself in northern France, give or take. And essentially, this entire region is in the process of rebelling against the Emperor. So he gets caught up in the moment, like, yes, finally, we're going to hold the great revolution and overthrow the tyrants. And, 50,000, eager people, you know, sally forth to fight the Emperor's armies. And it's what, maybe 1,000 Thunder Warriors that meet them?
I believe he said it was 5,000 Thunder Warriors versus 50,000 of them.
Okay, so yeah, right. It's any sort of it's one of those like, okay, this should be relatively simple, just going by raw numbers. It isn't a fight. It isn't even a battle.
Yeah,
It's a slaughter. Thunder Warriors lose no one. Every like the rebel forces that Uriah's in slaughtered to a man.
yeah.
Uriah only survives. Well, he shouldn't have. Like, he had a very grievous head wound. He was bleeding
Well,
out,
he
and
got a chunk of someone else's skull stuck in the back of his head
right.
because they were shooting. Um, did the Thunder
So a
Warriors have
bolter, a
bolters?
yeah,
Yeah,
Thunder Warriors had bolters. So a bolter in 40K terms is the standard firearm for Space Marines and Thunder Warriors if you're going back that far. So, uh, and this is not hyperbole. It is literally canon. A standard bolter round is a 75 caliber miniature rocket,
yep.
and
It's
a bolt gun has a 30 round magazine.
yeah. Imagine if you shot a bullet, but your bullet had thrusters on it.
And detonated after penetrating an
Yeah,
object.
yeah. It explodes after penetrating. After, not upon
Yeah, yeah,
penetrating. After.
yeah. Because it
That's an
wants to get
important distinction.
yes, yeah. Bolters fuck you up, and then there's heavy bolters.
Yeah. To be
It
fair,
isn't
like
hyperbole to say a heavy bolter round is like a monster can.
well, like here's the thing, like people think 75 caliber, like okay, regular bolter rounds, they're big, but like proportionally to a space marine, they're not
No,
that big,
yeah, that's like a 30
right?
6 round to
Yeah,
us.
right. They're not huge for a space marine. It makes sense that they're that size, and they're like not that much bigger than like a 50 cal. I mean, they are, but like it's not like they're the size of a fucking tank shell, right? They're still a huge bullet, but it's still bullet sized, Like, elephant gun sized, but still a bullet. But they have fucking rockets. So basically, another guy got shot with a bolter round and it blew up and launched. I don't know
When
if
he
it's a skull
exploded,
fragment or a
yeah.
bone fragment, but it knocked it into Uriah's skull.
So
And
yeah,
he was on the ground unconscious. So, yes.
so yes, Uriah is on the ground, just literally at his lowest point, both physically and mentally. Because he's like, "Oh God, I've wasted my life. I've done nothing but whore and cheat and drink and ah." And then he feels a divine presence, and he sees it, and he's dumbfounded. He can't say anything. He can't do anything, And when the emperor asked, "Can you describe it?" Any words I would say would be base. Even the most poetic language in the world would not do justice to the face I saw.
Yeah.
And the voice simply said, "Why do you defy me? When you could be so
Yep.
much more and be part of my grand plan." And then Uriah has no recollection. He remembers he woke up sometime later off the battlefield, and he was then explained, yeah, you had a bone fragment embedded in the base of your skull, another centimeter, you would not be walking, let alone alive. So he attributes it to a miracle. He heads home. He's been gone for over a decade at this point. At some point while he was gone, raiders showed up at home, killed all his family, raided most of his family's riches. So he retrieves, what little remains, doesn't have a clue what the hell to do, and is then approached by a priest for the church that he's now a priest in, saying that, I need a new caretaker for the church. I need someone to pass on my teachings. He's like, this is it. This is the divine purpose I have. And that's what he did. He learned to be a priest for this religion. He followed its teachings. He was a good man. Just happened to be a priest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
And
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, much like Uriah, happens to be a priest, very good man. At least, when the emperor meets him.
Well, yeah. No, he's very upfront about, like, I was a fucking dick.
Yeah.
I was a devilish rogue. His words,
Mm-hmm.
I was a devilish rogue
And
as a
I
youth.
love the way the emperor is just like, oh, yes, it makes sense that the devilish rogue would be in front of me. Like, I don't know why the emperor gets so much enjoyment out of that particular phrasing, but he does.
Well, like right off the bat, he likes Uriah because, Uriah
He's
makes a
real.
joke at his own expense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in my personal opinion, self-depreciating humor is the purest form of humor because the only person the joke's, making fun of is the person delivering it.
Yeah.
And if you can't laugh at yourself, you frankly have no business being in comedy.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so the
Ugh.
emperor's like, wait, you have a sense of humor? In my experience, holy men don't have a sense of humor. Well, then you've not been meeting the right holy men.
Yeah. I and I think this really bears really talking about, because you mentioned this earlier, that neither of them are wrong.
No.
But that, and like, it doesn't just start out that neither of them are wrong. It keeps going throughout the entire thing.
Oh, yeah, no. Like, right off the bat, you realize that Uriah is not just some Bible thumping, hypocrite. He's a good man who just genuinely wants to help people. So after
Yeah.
he shares his life story, they continue their walk and talk, and like immediately afterwards, like Uriah puts two and two together, or at least calls out the emperor, like, you're the reason my flock is not showing up tonight, aren't you? Yes.
Yeah.
You're here to end my teachings, aren't you? Yes.
Well,
But I was not lying when I said I wanted to hear from you and learn from you.
what
And
what
Uriah pretty much says, like, well, one way or another, come morning, you're leaving. That was always my plan, and it is my sincere hope that you will join me.
yes, because he wants Uriah on his side. Like, he wants, because the emperor talks about, like, hey, so I'm going to tell you all of the things and the reasons why I think religion in general
Needs to go.
is, needs to be gone.
So he
And
brings
I
up,
want you to
yeah.
be with me. Like, I hope I can convince you, and I hope you will be on my side because
So
I
I'll cover
like you.
broad strokes. The first stuff he brings up is like, really old school stuff, like, the human sacrificing,
Hmm.
the really like mass sacrifice. Um and then Uriah responds with, "You would go so far as to compare that barbarism to my faith?" To which the emperor responds with, "Yes, I would, because, you aren't sacrificing anyone for now,
Yeah,
but any religion is capable of horrible acts of brutality
yeah.
in order to please a non-existent power."
I don't think the first. I don't think he brought up the sacrifice. I think he brought up the gene seeded animals.
Oh, that was the
Yeah,
first one. Yep.
yeah, and
So,
then yeah,
yes. So he brings up essentially how millennia ago, a nation was facing a food crisis. Scientists figured out how to, uh, in a efficient manner, clone animals as food stock,
yeah,
and then a religious fundamentalist group, you know, "Oh, you're feeding us horrible, artificial, sin-infested meat,"
yep.
and pretty much engaged in a skirmish
Jihad,
against the science.
holy
Yeah,
war.
a jihad, a
Yeah,
crusade, whatever.
a fatwa.
Yeah,
You
whatever you
know,
want to use for the term, against the scientists. Of course, the scientists retaliated. In the end, over 1,000 people died. The facilities were destroyed, and thousands more died of starvation.
yep.
I don't
Uh,
think Uriah had a counterpoint to that. He just said, like, well, that that's awful, but you can't just nitpick bad examples.
well,
You know,
uh,
what about the good things? A
what,
church rallying a community
what,
to
yeah,
persevere through hard times. What about the times a church has helped organize and allocate resources to those in need when others have some to spare? I mean, Pixie, it's
infested
bacon.
meat.
Let's be
Yep.
honest. It was bacon.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If it was Jews, it would have been like, ugh, don't feed us bacon, and they would have eaten dust off the ground, right? Like Christians are the people who usually kill people for doing things they don't like. Jews are just like, oh, you're disgusting, and then go off and do something else disgusting.
Sorry, I have to do a quick quote from Helsing Bridge now.
Oh yes, please.
Hello, we're from the Temple Beth Zion. I was not expecting your order. Yeah, we heard you needed some help and decided to show up. You worship the Lord Jesus Christ? If we're killing Nazis, we'll worship a side of bacon.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite. I okay. Pretty much every quote from Helsing Ultimate Abridged is my favorite quote from Helsing Ultimate Abridged. But
That's a fair point to make.
um uh but the point is Uriah's response to that was more or less like, yeah, but like that's not my religion. Not every religion does that. Like you can't
Yeah.
blame us for that. And like, I mean, look, man, like what about all the times my religion's done good shit? Like, we gather people together to, help, give people foods,
Mm-hmm.
and shit like that.
And
So
then
then
the
the
emperor
emperor,
kind of lays out point by point human sacrifice in the far distant past,
yep,
then the Crusades,
yep.
then the Inquisition.
Hmm.
There was one more he brought up. I could have sworn.
Yes, because the final thing he brings up is, um, and he brings it up because Uriah brings it up, where because he brings up the spring they have again, at,
Oh, yes.
and he's just like the emperor's like, yeah, well, I saw one of these. They brought people here because it had healing properties.
Quote unquote.
yeah, there's this lady, she saw this young girl, she had a vision of whatever god, her religion,
Yeah,
and
they charged a cover fee, and they did
yeah,
not do any sort of
and
maintenance.
they did not
Yeah.
change the waters because then they could get more people in to get more money.
Mhm.
And he said he saw it. It's, you know, water
The
full
only
of
miracle was that
scabs and pus and
anyone
blood.
yeah, the only miracle was that anyone left that pool alive, and it was a
Yeah.
miracle that occurred rarely.
Yep. Exactly. And then Uriah's like, well, I assure you that never happened here. We don't charge people for any of that shit. Like,
Right.
we're legitimately trying to help people.
Yeah.
And which I think brings up a very, very interesting and important point for all of us. Religious, non-religious, spiritual, a meme religion, it doesn't matter. Like,
Praise the flying spaghetti monster and his noodly goodness.
exactly. But, like, we do need to understand, I guess, like, I don't like organized religion, but you can't paint them all with the same brush. And yeah, there are, I think, personally, everything religion does, you know, secular shit can do just as well.
Yeah.
But
The
there's
vice
also
versa is
things.
also true. Like,
Yeah,
Uriah brings it up several times. It's like, "You're telling me you can't think of a single occurrence in your vast knowledge of history where a secular government has not committed the same atrocities without the divine as their reasoning?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I do think that's the whole crux of all of this, really. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, because religious
S
people can be good and atheist people can be
Yeah.
shitty.
So, the big climax, the big finale for this story is Uriah storms off. He was not trying to convert this visitor to be a follower of his faith, but he didn't expect this visitor to just be tearing his faith apart so thoroughly. So he throws himself at the altar and starts praying. And, the emperor asks, like, who are you speaking to? No one is here but you and I. No one else is coming. He's like, leave me. I am done playing your games. To which the emperor responds with, fine, no more games. And he lifts the illusion that he has surrounded himself
Yep,
surrounded himself in, and Uriah just instantly, oh my god, this is that same presence I felt almost 50 years ago on that battlefield.
yep,
The divine presence he felt was the emperor, who is now with him again. And the emperor pretty much, finally gives the,
oh,
final sales pitch of,
hold on.
yeah, go ahead.
Pause quick, because we missed this. When um Uriah was talking about how he saw the face of God on this battle. Well, he saw the face of God, and the Emperor's kind of coaxing out where he did, and then he brings up he was at the battle. I forget what it's called. It's not important. The
Guarvera or
name of the battle.
something.
Yeah, the name of the battle is not important, but and he describes the battle like we were saying and everything. The whole point is the Emperor knows who this is, and he's trying to coax it out.
I'm
And
not sure if he knew the
he,
whole time.
well, I think he did by at least a part way through
Oh,
the
I'm sure
Emperor.
as soon as the guy says that he was at Guevara, like it just
Mhm.
ah.
Yeah, because I mean, he's the Emperor. He knows shit. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he knew
Yeah.
at some point before it was revealed, because he's trying to like coax out where he saw the face of God, and
Yeah.
then he doesn't be like the instant, because like if I was in that position where it's like, dude, no, dumbass, I fucking dragged your ass out of that battlefield and I brought you to a doctor to get medical attention. It wasn't a miracle, asshole. The
Right.
Emperor's just like, all right, no, I'll let you. I'm not going to destroy your faith, your belief, even though I know that I was, you know,
I was there.
I was the god you saw. I just feel like that's an important little bit to add. Sorry. Go ahead.
Right. But upon seeing that, realizing that the vision he saw almost half a century ago that started this path towards religion was just the man that's now in front of him now. And then the Emperor explains, what I'm trying to do is unite everyone, you know, bring a brighter future, a brighter tomorrow, unite the galaxy. That galaxy spanning empire we had thousands of years ago that we lost, and then the Earth just became a shithole. I'm going to make the world unite again, and then I'm going to make the entire galaxy that way. And Uriah's following him. And Uriah's on board with this. He's, I'm going to miss this place. But this is a good goal. This is a noble pursuit. You want to help everyone. I see that now. And then the rose tinted glasses kind of come off for a moment because he says the one thing that every villain will say, because the Emperor is someone with
Yeah.
good goals, but if there's one thing that's true in 40K, nobody's a good guy.
Nurgle is.
No, he's not. I love
Oh,
Grandpa
he's
Pops
the
Nurgle.
only nice person in the entirety of the fucking canon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's talking about going on this grand crusade to reunite the galaxy. And Uriah's like,
Yeah.
millions will die. Like, you can't expect every world to peacefully submit to your vision. You know there will be
And
resistance.
he's like,
And,
I don't.
well, yes, and it's like, this is the same thing that you were describing was evil from religion. The difference is, I know I am right. It's like,
Yeah. Which, if
And then,
anyone,
yeah,
that's like, when anyone in power says that, run.
yeah.
I'm just,
And then Uriah also points out, you do realize, if you completely eliminate religion, you are an incredibly powerful figure. You are an incredibly charismatic person. And I don't doubt for a moment you will succeed in these goals of reuniting mankind's empire across the stars. They're going to deify you. If not now, if not in the next 1,000 years, you're going to be deified because of your accomplishments, because of your grandiose status. You cannot just eliminate, mankind's, religion. It finds a way to keep coming back. And with that, he goes back in the church, and the Emperor says, like, please, I would love to have you at my side. You are a good person. You are a good man, Uriah. Please come with me. He's like, I wish I could. And I sincerely hope I'm wrong. I sincerely hope you're right. But, my path ends here in this church.
yep. Which, honestly, I respect that in a weird way. Like, okay.
Oh, and also, to be clear, the church is burning down at this point. The Emperor had a retinue outside with, good old-fashioned, Tyranid-grade promethium.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like, nah, I'm gonna die here. This is quite literally the hill I die on.
Yeah.
But, like, I kind of respect that. To see your whole worldview be torn apart in front of you, and when you're faced with the reality of what's happening and still disagreeing with it and being like, nah, you're an asshole. I'm gonna keep on doing this instead.
Yeah. And the reason I say, because, if you're not too familiar with 40K, you might just see this as, super powerful megalomaniac, but ultimately in the right guy at that moment, at least, you know, tearing apart an old man's faith. But if you know anything about 40K, like we were saying earlier, in less than 1,000 years, he's effectively dead. His crusades did reunite mankind's empire, but now he's worshipped as a god. Uh, there's war across that empire on dozens of fronts,
My
and they're
mind you,
never. Yeah,
after this happened, it was about
yeah,
a
yeah,
what,
yeah.
couple
This
hundred
isn't.
years
Yeah,
where he's
after
worshipped as a
after
god.
after he dies, expanding the Imperium, rare. Expansion is just recapturing stuff that's lost.
Yeah,
It's always a losing battle for the Imperium after he dies. He's a good comparison would be Alexander the Great.
yeah,
Like in the span of 300 years, he expands from Terra to all corners of the galaxy. But,
yeah.
as soon as he's out of the picture, the dominoes start falling
Well,
slowly.
I actually I do think something that's really important to talk about is so you know how he got so after he united Earth, after he destroyed religion on Earth, you want so Mars, right? Mars
Oh,
is okay,
yeah.
a technological powerhouse. And then
Yes.
they got separated from Earth, and Mars, the Martians developed
Uh,
a lot of
when
technology.
Kat says Martians, it is
Humans
human
on Mars.
colonist of Mars.
But the humans on Mars um basically developed a religion around technology. And
Yeah, they're a techno babble religion.
yeah, and when the Emperor went to Mars to like get them on his side, he went there and basically pretended that he was the avatar of the machine god because they worship machine gods and believe machines have souls. So he pretended he was the machine god and essentially fixed um
A
I
few
don't even
things.
remember what it was. Well, yeah, I don't remember. Like, it was some machine. We'll just call it a TV and a microwave. And he just, like, poked them, and they got fixed instantly.
Well, and the reason I think he's cool with
The
the
Adeptus
technology,
Mechanicus.
the cult of technology, and
Yeah.
worship of the Omnissiah, is while it is a religion, it is a religion based in science.
Yeah, well, it's like ancestor worship, but machines, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm an atheist. I don't like organized religion. But, like, ancestor worship is really fucking chill because there's not really a god, really.
Yes.
Like, there's a god, but it's not like a god. It's like
Yeah, I mean the
pantheism.
weirdest thing they do, if you believe the memes, is toaster orgies and then poking around Necron tombs.
Well, no, that is not the weirdest thing they do. The
Oh, what do they do
weirdest,
that's weirder than a toaster orgy?
the giant sarcophagus mechs.
The Titans?
Yeah, no, not the Titans. When a space marine's almost dead, and they bind them
The
to a,
Dreadnought sarcophagus?
yeah, that's fucking weird. That's really weird. You have a mostly dead person piloting a fucking murder suit. That's
It's
fucking
40K,
weird.
folks.
Yeah, and that's not even the weirdest thing in 40K. None of this, if you like grim dark weird shit, get into 40K lore.
Yeah, don't get into the game.
The game's fun. Don't buy shit from Games Workshop.
Yeah, well,
Make your
the
own
game's
figurines.
here's the problem with
Buy
40K.
third party figurines.
As far as the game goes, in my opinion, and I say this as someone who enjoys tabletop gaming, clearly. Okay, so most miniature game companies have a way for you to get the base rules for free, the full base rules for free. If they don't, it's usually miniatures agnostic, meaning we don't
Yep.
care what the fuck you use in official play. As long as you and your opponent are using the same scale, doesn't matter.
D&D, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, the superhero game that I can't remember.
Yeah.
It,
Anywho,
yeah.
So the rule book for 40K is $60. Okay, well, whatever. Now, that just tells you how to play. You also need a codex to build your army. Now, that's going to run you another 40 to 50, depending on the army. Might be as low as 30, but I think there's like 2 armies that are that low. Okay, $100. Now what? Well, do you have this year's chapter approved? What's that? Well, that has all, this year's erratas. That has all the points adjustments. Shouldn't that be available online for free? You'd think.
Well,
The
look,
errata is, but not all the current scenarios for this year's tournaments, not the points adjustments. You can't get those online for free.
so
Okay, well, how much is that? $25? Is that it? You also might need a supplement book or two just to make sure you have access to all the options available to your army. How much are those? 25 to $40 a piece. So you're looking at $200 just in rules, most likely. Now, devil's advocate for myself, they do have a subscription service where you can pretty much get all published rules that are current on your phone in the subscription, but it's like $10 a month.
which here's the thing. I think people should get money for the things they make, but
Yes.
at the same time, well, you can just people will make you figurines for 40K. Like they have 3D printed ones
Yeah.
for like dirt cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just the rules, not the models.
Yeah, which are super expensive. And
Mhm.
you can just like get the rules online. I mean, you can. I personally would just recommend getting them for a significantly discounted price. Hint,
Well,
hint,
and
wink, wink,
so
nudge,
let's go to the
nudge.
models real fast. So,
Oh yeah.
1 second. So I do play one Games Workshop game still called Warcry, and I got the starter box, like half a year ago by cashing out a Magic. So this is one model from a warband. Warbands usually come in like 8 to 9 models. Now that warband is $60 MSRP. Pretty tiny figure for $60, right? This is a master grade Gundam kit. $55.
Yep.
This thing comes out to a huge funkin' chunk of plastic.
Yeah, that's basically a fucking cathedral from 40K.
Yeah, a model this size in 40K, you're talking $150. Guess
Oh,
what?
at
These
least.
I don't have to paint. I can if I want, but the plastic's already colored. There are
Yep.
stickers or decals included, so I can do detail work
Yep.
with no glue required. They're superposable, and they're cheaper. Stupidly cheaper and more plastic. Like, there's no justifiable reason that Games Workshop has to charge the prices it does.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And I don't know, Games Workshop makes some very questionable decisions, and I will say, Games Workshop, uh, one or two or five of the spokespeople have made weirdly transphobic comments.
Doesn't
Um,
surprise me.
well, because people are just like, hey, it kind of makes sense that in lore that there should be female space marines. I mean, you've got the Sisters of Silence, you've got the Sisters of what are they? They're essentially space marines.
Oh, Sisters of Battle are plain Jane humans in power armor
Yeah,
that
but
their faith in the Emperor is so strong they actually are given divine power.
yeah, they're essentially space marines. They're just not. They don't have the implants and the
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, they're off-brand space marines,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they're badass as fuck. But like then some of the people from Games Workshop are just like, women could never possibly survive those augmentations because they're
Yeah.
weak and women, and which is weirdly misogynistic. But like,
Yeah.
okay, kind of in lore, all right, like I'll give you that much. And it's just like then people have brought up like, hey, but like, what if they're trans? Well, that's just fucking stupid. Trans people are dumb and don't exist. And it's like, okay, Games Workshop, you have now surpassed. Uh, oh God, why the fuck can't I think of the names?
Disney.
I was thinking, who owns Magic the Gathering in D&D?
WotC.
Well, yeah, but the fucking company.
Hasbro.
Uh,
Wizards of the Coast owns Magic the Gathering and
yeah,
D&D.
yeah, Wizards
Hasbro
of the
owns
Coast.
WotC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, that's what I see. Wizards of the Coast is like they straight up like Magic the Gathering. They're just like, yeah, women don't play our game, and people are just like,
That's not correct.
well, people have brought up like, okay, but like 40% of your user base is trans people, like of every variety.
Yeah.
Like queer people love tabletop games.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like go. It's like with 40K. You want to meet trans people? Go to like a 40K group because like half of them are fucking trans. Same thing with like Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Call of
Well,
Cthulhu.
I was gonna say I'm not sure about 40K, at least in my local
Oh,
area.
yeah, well, it's that area though.
Yeah. But yeah, and then 40K in regards to the lore. The lore in broad strokes is fun. You know,
Yes.
cool people doing cool things. There are good books with compelling characters in there,
Oh yeah.
but they're the exception, not the rule. If you're reading
Unfortunately,
40K stuff, usually you're reading it for cool person does cool thing. Aren't they really cool?
yes. Or orcs.
Well, every orc is a cool orc.
Yes.
But yeah, so just for an example of more ridiculous GW crap. So yeah, just a little figure, about the size of my thumb from my Devil May Cry board game. If I were to build a 40K army again, it would probably be Harlequins because what's cooler than, you know, acrobatic
Clowns.
murder space elves? Now,
Clown acrobatic murder
yeah,
space
yeah. If
elves.
I wanted to play Harlequins, I would want, a few solitaires and a few death jesters, most likely. They're about that size. They are monopose models. There is not much in the way you can easily do to customize those. Guess how much a single Death Jester or Solitaire cost? $30 for a little model monopose this size.
Yep. Whereas, how much is like a generic, you know, like you know, uh, figure agnostic figure? What, $5 for that size?
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, like, honestly, I'm kind of workshopping my own sci-fi skirmish game,
Yeah.
and you know, for something akin to a Death Jester, I'd probably just use, Lady from Devil May Cry, because hey, person with giant gun,
Yeah.
that works.
It's, I don't know. It's just so weird that Games Workshop, I don't know, because like you could just you can get a model that looks like something that would fit perfectly in there, and then you can paint it up
Yeah.
to look how you would want it to, right?
Well, and then finally, it's also the rules. Like I was just talking about the cost of the rules.
Yeah.
40K proper is such a stupidly swingy game of I take my full turn, then you take your full turn. But in my full turn, I could blow away half your army in theory.
Yeah. Well,
And it's just like I'm spending literally hundreds of dollars on this, and you're telling me I could lose half of it on turn one?
yeah. Oh, and let's not even get into making the field.
Oh, good lord, yeah. Games Workshop really wants you to use their official terrain, which
Yep.
is stupid expensive.
Yep. Which I will admit, some of it's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very modular, it's very cool. You can make absolutely gorgeous set pieces with it. I will never deny that. But it's also stupidly overpriced.
Oh yeah. I I've seen one of them. It's a cathedral, which a cathedral in 40K is a massive robot with an
Yeah.
entire fucking. It's a cathedral on top of it, but it's a cathedral so big, like millions of humans are living in that.
So Kat, just I guess generic lore stuff, because I guess we're going full 40K podcast tonight. Um, who's your favorite Primarch and why?
Oh, oh favorite Primark. Oh god, that's a hard one.
I know. You have 18 to
Oh,
choose from. We don't talk about two of them.
yeah. Well, didn't two of them just get fucking mysteriously dead before
The
they even?
redacted to the point that other Primarchs don't remember the details.
Yeah. What's his name? Wolf Boy. I like Wolf Boy. I can't remember his name.
Lehman Russ?
Yeah, yeah. The Space Wolves.
Yeah, okay. Lehman
Yeah,
Russ.
yeah. I like him.
So I take it Space Wolves are also your favorite Legion chapter, whatever.
Um, I kind of like the Death Corps too. I mean,
Well, Death Corps Krieg is Imperial Guard.
well, yeah, but they're cooler. But as for, I mean, I don't know. The Salamanders are probably the best Space Marine chapter, just because, well, they actually try and save every human possible.
Yeah,
So the
they
Salamanders,
actually care about people.
yeah, and like here's the thing: every other fucking chapter doesn't give a fuck about the guardsmen.
Wolves do.
Well, wolves do it, but not to the extent I guess salamanders do.
Salamanders will go out of their way to save civilians.
Oh yeah, they'll go out of their way to save fucking anyone, and they're fucking hardcore. I they're if there's a good guy in
It's Vulcan.
yeah, I was gonna say if there's a good guy in all of humanity, It's probably Vulcan. He's also
So why is Lehman Russ your favorite Primarch then?
um because he's awesome and
In
okay.
40K, that's an acceptable answer.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like he's a big pseudo werewolf motherfucker in power armor who runs with a fucking pack of other pseudo werewolf motherfuckers in power armor who run around and fuck shit up. It's just cool. Like I just
Also, I'm not sure if you knew this. He did almost end the Horus Heresy himself.
yeah.
He did encounter Horus. He almost killed him, but the ship was blowing up and they had to retreat.
Yeah.
So it's like he knew he landed a good hit, but he couldn't pursue.
Yeah. And
Okay.
which is also good because it's like, yeah, you didn't kill all of your men to do this. That's the sign of a good leader.
And as much as the burning of Prospero was tragic, he did his damnedest to avoid it escalating to the point it did.
Yeah.
So my favorite Primarch is probably, I can't think of many people that would share this opinion. Rogel Dorn.
Which one's he?
Imperial Fist.
Oh.
Mainly because he's the most pragmatic and he just, like, if he's presented with a problem, he will figure out a solution, or like he was the first Primarch to find out about the Horus Heresy. That wasn't in on the whole thing.
Well, I was just like, I think Magnus
That wasn't in on the whole thing.
Well, Magnus wasn't in on it.
Yeah, but he kind of got in on it.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, I mean,
Got dragged
yeah,
kicking and screaming into it, but he got dragged. He was in on
yeah,
it in the end.
yeah,
He was the first Primarch that was a loyalist
yeah.
and stayed loyalist to find out about it. And you want to
Well,
know what his reaction was upon hearing it? Clock the Death Guard captain that told him so hard across the face he almost killed the guy because, I'm sorry, the fuck did you say about my brother Horus? That's the
yeah,
War Master. You're accusing
yeah.
the War Master of turning against the Imperium.
Well,
I almost killed you just now. Do you want to try that again? Because if I catch you lying, I just want you to know I was holding back.
so, because I don't think most of the people who are watching know anything about 40K. Magnus was the War Master.
No, he wasn't.
Right?
No, never.
Who the wasn't he?
The Emperor was the War Master.
Well, I thought. Well, what? Oh no! Here's what I was thinking. Because Magnus was his favorite, essentially, and Magnus didn't get put to be a War Master, and people thought Magnus did something wrong.
I think it was between Horus or Sanguinius for War Master.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. He really liked Magnus.
No.
Yeah, he did.
No.
Am I getting it backwards?
I mean, the whole meme is Magnus did nothing wrong, but
yeah,
Magnus was always like the most ostracized Primarch.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm there's a lot of 40K lore, and so much of the shit got randomly retconned.
Yeah, folks, if you want to learn more about 40K lore, Lexinomicon or 1D, like 1D 4chan is actually a pretty decent resource to learn about the lore.
It's the lore is so convoluted. Like,
yeah, it's like
Squats
as
no
much as we're talking
exist.
about it, this is not me saying 40K is like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. No, it's really not.
No.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's one I feel guilty about taking pleasure in.
Well, no, you shouldn't, because hear me out. Do you like cool shit? 40K.
Yeah, yes.
That's really all it is. Is there anything consistent? Not really. I mean, orcs orcs are fucking fungus people, but they're orcs. And
Orcs are what happen when you have a soccer hooligan who has the enjoyment of guns that a stereotypical American does. Now give them
yeah,
a Cockney accent, make them made out of literal fungus. Oh, and their groupthink is so powerful that, and also their sense of belief is so powerful, they can just make shit work because they think it'll work.
yeah,
Red cars go faster. Why? Red's the fastest color. Have you ever seen a purple orc? No?
no,
That's because purple's the sneakiest color ever.
yeah,
Hey, you see this PVC tube, this duct tape, and all these Nerf darts? Yeah. Cool. It's a fucking Mega Blaster now.
well,
Hand it to a guardsman. Okay, I just saw an orc devastate an entire squad with this. Why is nothing happening?
my my favorite my favorite pseudo canonical story is so there's there's a squad of Imperial guardsmen, and they're just being swarmed by fucking orcs, and they're holding them off, right? Then they run out of ammo, and the orcs start advancing quicker and quicker, and the captain just starts going bang, 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 and orcs are just dropping dead rivers, pointing and shouting bang, and then the rest of the guardsmen are looking around, and they just start pointing and shouting bang too. And orcs are dying all over the place, faster than when they had fucking ammo, right? Because the orcs believe they're dying. So, and they're doing really good. They're holding off this orc offensive. And then they just hear like this loud chanting in the distance. I'm a tank, 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 I'm a tank. And you got like 7 orcs like stacked on top of each other, just shouting, I'm a tank. Not being able to die because they've decided they're a tank now. And it's like, that's the kind of shit that happens in the 40K universe. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's not a thing in canon, but that's a thing that could literally happen in canon, though. Because like orcs, they have spaceships with windows they can roll down because it cools them off while they're going through hell. Like, what the fuck? They have spaceships that they're not spaceships, they're asteroids that they attach random shit to. Like, what? You can't do that. They have vehicles, like they have these crude jalopies they slap together with random parts that don't even work together. And then like tape like 48,000 guns to them. And then it just works. Orcs are Todd Howard. It just works.
No, orcs are red green.
Yes.
You
Yes,
don't gotta
that
be
is true.
handsome, but the Yumis better find you deadly.
Well, they are pretty handsome. I mean, they do have what the fuck are those things called that they use? The scrumptiums or the skookies or whatever the fuck
The
they are.
Gretchens?
Yeah,
Squigs?
yeah, squigs. Like they just attach. Like orcs don't grow hair. If you see an orc with hair, that's a parasite that they made bite their head and fuse to them. Like they shoot these things out of cannons at people. Like orcs are not. I always tell people, look, if there's aliens in real life that have come to Earth, they probably look at us how the humans in 40K look at space orcs. We're nuts. We don't do anything that makes sense. We just decide we're doing this now. and then it happens. That's what we do.
Not to
Like,
derail, but to rewind the conversation 5 minutes.
yeah.
But yeah, so Rogel Dorn, like he was the first Primarch to find out about the heresy. So upon getting back to Terra and knowing that the entire Imperium was at threat, he essentially called all of his chapters in the Legion back to Terra and spent over a decade reinforcing Terra because he knew one way or another Horus had to come to Terra to actually, try and take out the Emperor. And it like that's the kind of person he is. I will I will take acceptable losses to reinforce the primary objective.
Yep.
And he effectively held that single-handedly. I think they had some, and when I say some, I mean very few Raven Guard, a small handful of Salamanders, and maybe some Space Wolves. But the other Loyalist chapters were very late to the party.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so using one Legion effectively, he managed to hold off 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the fucking Chaos Marines, those motherfuckers are nuts.
Yeah.
And, which, by the way, speaking of Chaos Marines, so the Emperor's whole thing is, supernatural stuff doesn't exist, right? Like, I'm
But
just
it
a dude.
does.
Well, okay,
FTL
here's the
would
thing.
not be possible without supernatural stuff.
Okay, here's the thing, though. He was on Earth, right? And I don't know, maybe he didn't know
No, he
necessarily.
knew. Like it
All right,
actually is. It's canon now.
is that canon that he knew?
No. It is canon. I have not read really many Horus Heresy novels, but in the first one, at some point, Horus essentially converses with all 4 gods of chaos.
Well, yeah.
So
Well,
prior to the Emperor starting the unification wars on Terra, he went to the same place that Horus went
oh,
and talked with all 4 and did some sort of Faustian bargain, but essentially, at least he thought, got out of the payment.
yeah,
So a popular fan theory is that essentially the 20 Primarchs being, shot across the galaxy were the Chaos Gods taking their payment.
yeah. That is something I've heard. And yeah, because they got sent off to the different.
Which
And
that would track for his character,
yeah,
Aha! I have beaten
well,
these 4 eldritch powers. I'm so smart and cool.
I that reminds me of a theory I heard. He let them because what's her name? The other perpetual, the perpetual he
Oh,
fuck.
pious something?
Yeah, whatever her name was.
Oh,
The
there's
the
a few perpetuals.
well, I know, but the one he combined his DNA with to make the Primarchs, the Eda
I thought the
Edicrus,
Primarchs were all just partial clones.
they were,
Like,
but
gene edited clones.
yeah, he combined he like clone fucked
Like, each
one
one
of
embodies
them.
a certain aspect of him more. Like, Magnus embodies
Yeah,
his psyker. Like, all of them have some psyker potential, but, like, Magnus really embodies his psyker potential.
yeah,
Um, you know, Horus embodies his charisma.
yeah.
You
Um,
know,
the,
Vulcan his perpetuity.
the point is, one of the perpetuals, the second strongest perpetual, the one who didn't fuck off, well, until she fucked off. The one, she was essentially the one who sent the Space Marines across everywhere. She opened up a portal in the nursery or whatever the fuck you want to call it,
Okay.
where the Primarchs were held to let the Chaos Gods take them and shit. Um,
Oh, was she a member of the Cabal?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, not originally, but then defected and was just like, "Fuck you! I don't like you anymore, big emperor boy."
Yeah. Yeah. Long story short, folks, if you want broad strokes, like I said, 1D4chan or Lexiconum, there's resources out there.
Well,
Um, if you want to read some of the books or stories, I'd say it's an author by author basis. Don't go
yeah,
character by character. Like Dan Abnett, the guy who's responsible for the Guardians of the Galaxy we know and love now. Like he wrote the Marvel comics that the movies are based off of, not the 70s ones. He's written a few series, the most popular one being called Gaunt's Ghost, and it's pretty engaging. It's really good military sci-fi. Um, honestly, like if you've read Black Company, that's pretty comparable. Just make it a sci-fi.
well,
Another really good one is Graham McNeil. Honestly, aside from being in charge of the lore department for Riot Games and League of Legends, like that happened, I think, in 2016 or so. I can't think of what he's done aside from 40K novels, but he made the Ultramarines cool, okay? That's not easy.
no, it's really not. Well, it's like, okay, here's the thing. Let me explain the Space Marines, right? The different chapters of Space Marines: werewolf Space Marines, vampire Space Marines, uh, super cool fiery Space Marines who are super empathetic, fucking plague rat Space Marines, blood god Space Marines, you know, Space Marines with shiny yellow armor who are really dumb.
Hey,
Ultramarines.
hey, fuck you. Fuck
Hey,
you.
I like them. I'm just saying.
I was gonna say, like,
They're just dumb and yellow, but they're
I,
awesome.
I, I will be the first to admit, like, the chapter personality of Imperial Fist is, we'll hold the line. And, well, this is the line.
Yeah,
I'm holding it, see? This is a joke.
yeah, yeah.
I am
They're
humorous.
yeah. They're fucking Drax. They're Drax
Yes,
Marines.
that's a yes. Yeah, the Imperial Fist are all Drax, but that's just it. Like Drax, they just won't fucking stop,
Yeah.
even if they're supposed to.
Oh, they're awesome. They're cool as fuck, but they're dumb.
Yeah.
Uh, like Ultramarines. Oh yeah, what flavor of Space Marine are you? I'm a Space Marine. Space Marine. What? Yeah, we wear blue armor. Yeah, that's our defining characteristic.
Well, now that Matt Ward isn't in charge of the codices anymore, as much as he used to be, uh, Ultramarines are kind of getting their own identity again, aside from being those Space Marines to ever Space Marine it up out of all the
Yeah,
Space Marine chapters. They're so awesome of being Space Marines. Every Space Marine chapter wishes they were Space Marines like the Ultramarines. Now they're kind of going back to, they're like the Roman Legion.
oh, I like that better.
Right. Like
They
they
were
are,
like that.
yeah. They're going back to their roots. It's like they are
Yeah,
the folks that, build the infrastructure.
yeah,
Like if they go to a world to liberate it from an invasion, they will make sure, not only is the world pacified, but it's like Imperial citizens have stuff set up.
yeah,
Because the Ultramarines effectively have their own little mini empire within the Imperium.
yeah. I just,
Like it's
what?
the one nice spot to live if you're a human.
Yeah. No, no, there's other nice spots. You just have to be extremely rich.
Well, let's see. Catachan. Well, there are literally things called. Your planet is so inhospitable to human life. You rely on the Imperium for any and all supplies, and the only export you have to provide are soldiers, because anybody who makes it to
Which,
adulthood is a bona fide badass.
oh
That
yeah,
is canon.
oh every single. I'm kind of convinced those motherfuckers. Like, if you took one of those and went like full Thunder Warrior, I am pretty sure they would fuck up a Space Marine. Right?
The
If you,
Catachan, every Catachan is effectively Rambo, Arnold
yeah,
Schwarzenegger. Uh, yeah, it's
and
fucking insane.
well, it's like if you took someone from like Metro 2033 or like the Stalker franchise, but then put them in like the Predator
Nam,
jungle,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, like
and then
that,
infested that jungle with the plants want to kill you.
yeah, and
Centipedes the size of fucking buses that want to kill you.
yeah, and normal humans can't even breathe on the fucking planet half the time. Yeah,
Yeah, flamethrowers are standard issue in most communities
yeah,
for foliage control.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's awesome. They are okay. You could say this about most groups in 40K. They're like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah. 40K is full of coolest stuff ever. TM, do not steal.
Yeah.
Like for me, my favorite guard planet would be Talern.
Which one's that? I don't remember that one off the top of my head.
They're the ones that have the Lawrence of Arabia look.
All right. Yeah.
Well, and the reason is more lorish. Essentially, they were the home of their planet was the Battle of Kursk in 40K sense. Like it was the largest armored campaign in the setting during the Horus Heresy. Talern
Yeah.
in 40K is a desert world.
Yeah.
Very Tatooine-esque. Like there are some communities, but they're very few and far between. People mostly live underground now because that's where the water is.
Yeah.
Prior to the Horus Heresy, it was actually a very lush paradise world. It just got so fucking destroyed from tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pieces of armor just slugging it out, turned to a desert. So now you got the Talon are almost like, I mean, they aren't Fremen in regards to how they fight, but just how they're able to, you know, sneak around and use weird flanking tactics that enemy commanders don't expect. And they are unparalleled tank aces. So you could have a small squad of Talon tanks just holding the line,
Yeah.
and the enemy commander's thinking, "All right, I got him pinned. Great. Wait, what's that shouting, guys? Where the hell did half a regiment come from? How did they get behind us?"
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's well. Okay. Going back to the whole point of the Emperor saying there's nothing supernatural. There's literal gods. Like that I he
The
knows
emperor
about.
literally killed a dragon in the
Oh,
1300s.
yeah, yeah. He literally killed a dragon and what he made it sleep in Mars? Or no, he made it did he make it sleep in the moon?
He so yeah, a avatar of the void dragon
Yeah,
came to Earth sometime in the Middle Ages. He slew it, somehow stuck it up in Mars.
yeah. And that's how and he used its power or he made it use its power for Mars to develop more technology later on or some dumb bullshit like
Something
that.
like that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, yes, you raising that makes an excellent point. Like, him yes.
yeah,
He's the one being a hypocrite in that interaction. Like
yeah,
Uriah is not being hypocritical at all,
yeah,
you know.
he's wrong in that he saw God, but
Yes.
he's not being hypocritical at all. He's
Well, and that actually raises an excellent point. Like, he never once, as soon as he realizes that it was the Emperor he saw all those years ago, he never once again states he saw the divine.
yeah, correct.
But he does say the path that that encounter set me on is the path that I am going to die on because
Yeah,
it is the right path.
yeah, yeah. He straight up looked at the Emperor and was like, "Well, I no longer believe what I believe,
Yeah.
but this is still the correct and moral path, and I will follow this to my death." Which is also a very religious thing to martyr yourself that way. But I mean, he's not that. See, that's why this video is so good. Well, the story and the video is also really great. It's a very good animatic, but also the voice actors are phenomenal. But um, it's it it really gives an actual good look at religion versus atheism, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
where it shows, because the more lore you know, the more it really,
Implications, the more teases there are,
yeah,
the more peering behind the curtain of what Terra was like prior to the Great Crusade you see. But that isn't what I cared about when I found that video. It was just like, wow, that's well done. That's a very well executed, you know, atheistic and deist debate.
yeah, it's because, well, it's very strange because the emperor then later becomes God. Like,
Well, is worshipped as one.
yeah, and then the worship winds up granting him pseudo god powers.
He always kind of had those.
Yeah, but like he got other powers. He was able to make people into saints. Like,
I don't think he does. I don't know how that works lore wise.
well, it depends on what you're reading, how it works
That's
lore wise.
that's fair. That's fair.
Because that's what's annoying about well, one of the things that's annoying about 40k lore.
It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I I like the idea of him randomly, like he's a deistic god, but then randomly he does intervene. I think that's funny. Like with the Sisters of Battle, like he could just be like, "Oh, yep," like the ones that are disgraced, and then okay, so these broads, they're nuns with guns, right? If they get disgraced, like they do something bad or like a really bad sin, they can repent. But how they repent is getting stripped basically naked and tied to the front of a fucking murder robot and having no protection on them. And they go into battle piloting this thing, like tits out and everything. Like, and they get like fucked up. And the ones who survive, you know, get brought back in. And they're the most badass, horrifying things ever to exist. They make some space marines look like pussies. I'm just gonna be upfront with you. Like they're legitimately horrifying because you know I wouldn't want to fuck with one of them. They, they're scary
Yeah.
broads.
Yep. And then, like I said, circling back to the hobby aspect, just don't give Games Workshop money if you want to play the game.
No,
Put on your eye patch, get a peg leg on, find find a PDF or something,
yeah,
and you know, just find some friends that are cool with proxy models.
yeah. It's just, and like I said, you can buy them. You can buy the exact models on the internet, 3D printed, for like a quarter of the price.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have a small 3D printer, like you can buy an $80 3D printer that'll make all of the small models. Like if you're playing Tau, you can make all those models on a fucking $80 3D printer. You know, like I mean, aside from their giant, because the
Yeah.
Tau do have huge fucking mech suits. But
Well, Tau were effectively cashing in on the mecha craze that was happening in the early 2000s.
yeah, and I, the Tau have like a total of like two melee abilities, so you're kind of
Die?
stuck. Yeah, they have die and they have like one laser sword. That's about it.
One guy. One guy
I
has an
said
actual...
one laser sword. I
The
said
entire
one.
race. The entire race has one really cool
Yeah,
melee weapon to call their own. And he's in exile.
yeah.
Not
I,
because he likes to run into melee, but not because he likes to run into melee.
I'm just saying. I said they have one laser sword. I, I did. I didn't say they have a unit with laser swords. I didn't say they have a regiment with melee. I said they had one. They had one singular melee. One. One singular melee weapon.
Well, and also my problem with 40K is, frankly, large scale uh, tabletop war games are overrated in my opinion now.
Yeah, it would be. I think it would be a lot more fun if you had like squads of like 4 or 5, you know, people fighting against each other instead
I,
of
I, I was gonna say I enjoy skirmish games more now,
yeah.
where like
Oh,
each player has a total model count of 12 or less.
yeah, yeah. Skirmish games are fun as fuck.
Yeah.
That's that's always kind of been my issue with 40K is there's it's too much stuff happening and like not in the fun way of too much stuff, right?
Also, it's stupid easy to cheese.
Yeah,
Like I did an escalation league when I got back in, and I'll put it to you this way: in a 1,000 point game, standard games are 2,000 points. So this was early on in the league. This guy brought 3 Basilisk artillery platforms. He was playing Imperial Guard. His HQ choice, because this was legal in this edition, was a tank. I think he had 3 infantry squads, dirt cheap, just to be legal.
yeah,
Then 1 like a commander just to issue orders.
yeah,
I forget what else he had, but it was mostly vehicles in a 1,000 point
yeah,
list. It's like, my dude, what the hell?
yeah,
Well, we're competing for a prize, so of course I'm gonna like. Yeah, but this ain't fun.
yeah.
You're effectively rock paper scissorings this and hoping I didn't bring a bunch of anti-tank stuff primarily in a 1,000 point game. When why would I bring anti-tank stuff primarily in a 1,000 point game? Who is going to field all tanks in 1,000 points? You, apparently, jackass.
Well, it's like PvPing someone in like D&D or Pathfinder. That can be really fucking fun unless the other person's a dick who, built a super broken character because they don't like fun.
Yeah.
Or the only fun they find is in winning. I don't like that. You know me. I make dumb characters in
Oh,
D&D
yeah,
because
no.
it's
Slagathor the
fun.
Golden Tyrants.
Slagathor the Golden Tyrant, best thief in the plane.
And, like, honestly, one of my favorite moments DMing and the end of that dungeon you played him in was I forgot how you found it, whether it was in an earlier room or you literally dove into the giant's pockets, rummaged around. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna roll and see what you find. A small vial of acid.
No,
Cool.
okay.
And then next turn, you climb up, effectively onto his face, and you like just crack it open into his ear.
Okay, no, let me tell you exactly what happened. I got that in the beginning of the session, and I didn't bother to check what it was because Slagathor wouldn't have checked. He just ran in and grabbed whatever fucking random shit he could. And you just told me it was a vial of liquid. And I didn't know what it was. So I took the Hot Wheels car. I pickpocketed off the child we had to protect earlier. And
Oh, right.
I rolled it in front of him to distract him, and it did for like half a second. I climbed up on him, and I'm like, "Hey, hey, you know that vial or whatever? I'm gonna dump it in his ear." And you're just like, "Oh, oh, really? You don't know what it is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care. Just dump it in his ear." I didn't even know. I'm like,
Could have been a
that could
wet
have been a
willy. Could have been
healing
a healing
potion.
potion, but you were gonna
Yeah,
find out.
yeah, I didn't know because that's what I do. Because I like fun, right? And
All right.
that's yeah.
Oh,
Time
I
to
was gonna
go.
say, I probably should get going
Yeah, me
soon
too.
because I do have to work tomorrow in less than 10 hours.
Yeah, I gotta work tomorrow too. Well, how about this? Everyone, thank you for watching. Steve, do
Yes.
you have anything you'd like to plug?
Um, I want to apologize for how weird this week has been. Apparently, being 2 weeks out of practice for the stream has made us
Oh,
go on random 40k tangents rather than Star Wars. I'm sorry, we broke character.
yeah, I'm sorry, we're the worst.
Kenobi teaser trailer just came out and it was fucking awesome. Live action Inquisitors.
Oh, fun. Well, next week we'll get back to form. How about that?
Yeah, next week we'll be back to form.
Maybe Atreyu, maybe one of the other forums. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, if anybody listening wants to help other creative ventures I'm associated with, the latest episode of Fire Breathing Kittens, fire breathing is one word, has come out. I'm a regular guest on that D&D actual play podcast, and the latest
Oh,
episode features my character.
put it in the private chat, and I'll pop it in the chat right now. Just give me a link and pop her on in. And then
Oh,
I'll
shit.
update the description and all that jazz.
I mean, it's available on pretty much every podcasting service, whatever you might use.
Or just send me the name or whatever. Closer
Oh,
by.
no, I found the Apple Podcast link. I'm working on it. Hey, we're at an even 5 stars out of 20 ratings.
Ooh. All right.
You know what? I'm going to also link that video that we've just spent the last hour and a half talking about, just so you
Yeah,
guys can actually watch it. It's worth a watch, and it's a lot better to watch than hear us just horribly describe and discuss.
yeah.
Am I right or
It's
am I
a
wrong?
very good watch. I have the link somewhere, but I'm on my phone, so I can't have too many tabs open because it'll melt my fucking phone. So thank you. And then I post content. And there we
All
go.
right.
So
Well,
I think we're
everyone,
done. So Yep.
Have a great night, morning, day, whatever. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dealing with us today.
All right, we are going.